Attention bowlers, we are going to get started. Please finish your warm-up frames. We'll be changing to scoring in just a moment. Welcome to 3-Ball Spare and welcome to the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire today for another great Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. And hello, I am Steve Kelly. It's great to have you along. Are you ready for some Candlepin bowling? Me too. All right, so today it's going to be Bryan Hebert challenging Chase Abramczyk here on lanes 5 and 6 at Boutwell's Bowling Center, and we are good to go. And yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. Let's get right into the action today. It'll be Bryan Hebert who will lead off on lane 6. Bryan Hebert will start early with a 3-drop. For the follow-up, Bryan Hebert turns everything into a spare leave. Well, into a spare something. The king pin is left. He turns it into a shot with 1 pin left is what I'm trying to tell you. And that will be a 10 box for Bryan Hebert, 10 after 1. Yes, so this is the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour brought to you by 3-Ball Spare Conglomerate. The match format today is 5 strings of Candlepin bowling, 5 boxes at a time per bowler with 14 available points in the match. Each string is worth 2 points apiece. If you tie, it's worth 1 apiece. Split down the middle. There's an 8-drop and a split for Bryan Hebert. 6 right, 7 left. The grand total pinfall is worth 4 points. And again, divide it in 2 if there are any ties. There's Bryan Hebert cleaning up for a 10. Perfect after 2, 20. This broadcast should have subtitles and live captions if you would like to enable them. If you've never seen Candlepin bowling, I hope you enjoyed the match today. This is a unique take on bowling from the heart of New England and Eastern Canada. There's a 3-drop for Bryan Hebert. Also consider the transcript feature if you're watching this from YouTube. During the match, I'll provide the play-by-play action and on-screen scoring to the best of my ability. The numbers on your screen are unofficial. The bowlers maintain the authority on the scores. I may occasionally pause to verify things if the scores are out of sync, and I appreciate your patience if that happens. There's Bryan Hebert. We'll take a 6 box, leaving the center diamond after 3 balls in the 3rd frame for 26 after 3. If in the off chance you like this content today, I hope you consider subscribing to this channel to help us grow. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Here's Bryan Hebert on lane 6 to start the 4th box of the day of 50 boxes. We'll take a few out. 4 to be exact. Looking to spare it up. He's right on the money, right on the pocket. Leaves the 2 and the 4. Ends up being a leave of the 4 pin for a box. That's 35 after 4 for Mr. Hebert. Bryan Hebert, who has a season record after 10 matches played of 42 and 98. On the road, he's 18-66. Home, 24 and 32. Season average 89.10, away average 88.7 as he drops 9 and leaves the kingpin. Home average 89.9, away average of 88.7 to be specific. His high single 108, high series 474, and there's a spare for Bryan Hebert. Not a bad one to sit on. With that, he will sit on a 45 half. Here we are. Bryan Hebert, after 5 boxes, is on an open mark with 2 10s and a 6 and a 9 box for 45. Halfway through the first game with 2 head pin shots and 1 split. We'll now turn it over to Chase Abramczyk here on lane 6 for the first time today, our home bowler. Here is Chase for the first time today. He'll cross over corner to corner, and mix down 6. 1, 2, 3, 10. It should be a good one for Chase. He's on the pocket, but the 10 pin doesn't cooperate. Here's Chase for the 10. He stays on. That should be a 10 box, I believe. The 10 box is in, and the 45 after 5 plus a ball is confirmed for Bryan Hebert. Let's talk about Chase Abramczyk, who has a season record of 67-101. He's bowled 12 matches out of the 18-match regular season. Away, he's 42-56. At home, he's 25-45 with a season average of 93.4. Away average 94.5. Home average 92. High single 130. High series 516 as he drops 5. It's the 1-3-6-10-9 for Chase. And he'll miss to the left. Cross over a little too much. Wanted to hit the outside of the head pin to run down the 4 horsemen and take a sleeper. But it starts with hitting the object. Chase, that's the ball he was looking for. But it's still a 10 box. Both bowlers are at 20 after 2 with 2 10 boxes in a row. Chase Abramczyk has 20 strikes, 75 spares, and 98 tens for the season. He has a 30% perfect box percentage and seasonal pinfall totaling 5,608 pins so far. Second in his division as he hits the head pin there, finds his target, drops 8. Chase is in Class E North Division 2, bowls out of Boutwell's Bowling Center here in Concord, New Hampshire. He's currently 7th place in the wild card. And Chase with a spare. That is 30 and a bonus after 3 for Chase. And what a nice one that was on the 3 and the 5. Here comes Chase on the pocket. Takes all down but the kingpin, the 5 pin. And he's got a 9 fill in the 3rd. That's 39 after 3. Abramczyk, he kicks the 5 with the wood for a spare. That is now 40. That is now 49 and a bonus after 4 as we have a bit of a mechanical problem down there on the lanes that we'll have Dimitri Delis come over to have a look at. Let's talk about our home bowler while we're waiting. It's Chase Abramczyk. Again, some stats on your screen mentioned earlier. In his past 5 matches, he's taken 32 points, averaging 6.4 points per match. He has totaled 2561 pins in his past 5 matches, with 16 strikes, 49 spares, and 51 tens in those past 5 matches. Split average per match, 7.2. Head pin average per match, about 15.6 for 50 for Chase Abramczyk. Looks like our pin setter delay is all set right now. And let us continue now. Chase Abramczyk, who is on a 2nd mark in a row, working on a spare. And here he is in the pocket, mixing down 7 and filling with 7. 6, 9, 10. 56 after 4 with that fill. And it's away for the 3rd spare, and wow, 1 pin didn't mix with the rest of the shot. Looks good on paper. Could still be a perfect half. It is a perfect half for Chase Abramczyk, who'll throw a quick and easy 66 after 5. He's sitting already. 3 for 5 on the head pin, no splits, 3 tens and 2 spares. Chase Abramczyk with an early lead at 66 to Bryan Hebert's 45, but Bryan Hebert is on a mark, so let's see where we go from here. Here's Bryan working on a fill. He'll take 5 down. One 5, 3, 6, 10. And Bryan will leave the 1 and the 5. Right on the head pin, I should say. He'll take a 9 box for 59 and 6. Bryan Hebert has a high series of 474. He has 9 strikes, 47 spares, and 76 tens with a 30% perfect box percentage and 4,459 seasonal pinfall so far. 4th place in his division, 10th in the wildcard seed. He is in Class E North Division 3, bowling out of Boutwell's Bowling Center this season. 7 drop and a split for Bryan Hebert on the object pin, but hits it full. Leaves the 4 and the 6. It'll be an 8 box for Bryan Hebert. That's 67 after 7. Show you Bryan Hebert's stats while we have a quick moment. Bryan Hebert in his past 5 matches, 20 points, averaging 4 per match. 25.02 pinfall so far in his past 5 matches. Average points per home match, 6. Average points per away, 3. And he'll take a shot on the 6 pin in the first ball for the next frame. Hebert's on the 1-3 pocket, and the pins dance around mostly airborne, leaving the 2-4-5. On the 2-4-5, he takes it for the 10. 77 through 8. Bryan Hebert in his past 5 matches has taken 8 strikes, 29 spares, and 45 tens. And goes 13.2 for 50 on average on the head pin in every match, at least this season, and 6.2 splits on average per match, as he'll take 2 out on the right side for a half Worcester, taking out the 3 and the 9. For the spare, wanted to go on the outside of the head pin. The right idea, just a high risk and high reward situation. For the recovery, he'll take 1 more out. He'll take 2 more out, maybe a third. It's going to be a 4 box. That'll be 81 through 9. Bryan Hebert has the 14th highest Class E average at 89.1. Recently faced Chris Salmons in round 8, taking 4 points with a 437 series, and he'll drop 7 here. It's a spare shot on the 2-4-7. Just a little bit too much to the left, takes the 4 and the 7. For the 10, and he'll take a 9. That'll be a 90 for game 1 for Bryan Hebert. 1 mark and 3 10 boxes. 90 after 1 is Bryan Hebert's game 1 with 4 head pin shots and 2 splits. Chase Abramczyk coming back to the lanes on a 66.5. Here on the ACST. I'm Steve Kelly on the mic and the scoring. It's great to have you along. Chase Abramczyk will wash out 4 on the left. It's a 6-pack on the right side. The 6-pack is brought to you by the bar at Boutwell's Bowling Center, as well as Sabrin Pizza in the same parking lot as Boutwell's. Chase Abramczyk on the outside of the head pin, dances around, takes a few, leaves 2. You should be checking out the bar and the pizza place in the Boutwell's parking lot and the Boutwell's vicinity. Great food, I can vouch for that. Great pizza, great subs at Sabrin Pizza. And the bar at Boutwell's is also great with great popcorn. Really intoxicatingly great smelling popcorn when they have it going fresh. So do check it out when you are at Boutwell's. That's 74 through 6 for Chase Abramczyk with that 8 box. Compare that to 59 after 6 for Bryan Hebert. Chase Abramczyk on the pocket, takes 8 out. It's a 5-7 split. 8 drop. Chase on the 5-7. He'll take the 7 and leave the 5. It's a tough split to reconcile. Sometimes it's best just to take a sticker ball and just move on. Chase does exactly that with a 10 for 84 through 7. He retains a lead over Bryan Hebert 67 through 7 at this point. With 3 boxes to go, he has 6 pins to go to tie, and anything higher than that to take 2 points. Here comes downs. Chase Abramczyk off to the right, mixes out 3. A triangle on the right side, the 6-9-10 knockdown. Chase Abramczyk recently faced Krista Ruggiero in round 13, taking 14 points of the 494 series, a 112, a 97, another 97, an 81, and a 101 with 3 strikes, 9 spares, and 8 tens, 16 head pin shots for 50, and 6 splits. And Chase Abramczyk will take a hard-fought 5. That should be 89 through 8 for Chase Abramczyk now, and it is. Chase Abramczyk has the 9th highest Class E average at 93.4, the 6th highest Class E high single of 130, the 5th highest Class E total strikes at 20, the 8th highest Class E high series at 516, 10th highest Class E total spares at 75, as Chase Abramczyk will take out 6 on the first ball of the next frame. That's the 1-8-6-10. Chase for the mark, misses the object. Moves the object by proxy of the wood kicked forward. Seven, 8, 9, or 10 for Chase. It'll be an 8, but it's enough to take the first game. That's 97 through 9 for Chase Abramczyk with 1 more box to go to pad out the total. In this long journey through 5 games, we are at the end of the first game here with 1 box to go. Chase Abramczyk has the 9th highest Class E perfect box percentage at 30%. The 8th highest Class E total tens at 98. The 9th highest Class E fewest average pins left at 73.3. Chase, that ball was a little bit bouncy, a little bit off target. I caught it right as he released it, and I had a feeling there was going to be trouble. He drops 1 on the 4. Chase hits a better ball, but it's a little bit off to the right, a little bit timid on that release to overcorrect. He'll take 2 more out. 7 up, 3 down. But he'll make a nice mix and a great out for Chase. That will put him at 107 for game 1. Not a bad way to end it. So Chase Abramczyk with a pretty good perfect box percentage this game for sure. 70%, 2 spares, 5 tens, 107 in the first game. Bryan Hebert with a 90. And that's only game 1. We have plenty more games to go here in this fun-filled early evening here at the ACST in Concord, Hampshire at Boutwell's Bowling Center. Let's move on to game 2, shall we? Steve Kelly on the call. It's great to have you along with us. How are you? Hope you enjoyed the first game, and we got plenty more to go where that came from here at Boutwell's Bowling Center on North State Street in Concord, New Hampshire. Let's continue. Here comes Bryan Hebert. Takes 2 out. And wow, he'll mix a couple more down. These 4 in the center and 2 in the back. This will be for an out. Not a bad out. 7 after 1 for Bryan. Bryan Hebert bowls with me at Lakeside for plenty of leagues and plenty of fun stuff in Manchester, New Hampshire. This year for ACST, Bryan Hebert is bowling here at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire, just about 20-ish minutes north of Lakeside Lanes. And Bryan Hebert will mix down all but the T-bone and the inverse spread eagle, the 1-5-8-9. Hebert on the object, dances all around. Yeah, that's the problem with the T-bone. You can take the head pin and only the head pin. It's the 5-8-9 for Bryan for a 10 box. He'll make it. That's 17 after 2 for Bryan Hebert here. That brings him up to 107 in the total, where Chase Abramczyk got that in the first game. So the total is matched. 2 boxes with a 2-box handicap for Bryan Hebert with that 7 in the 10 box. Bryan, 1-3 pocket, a nice hit, and a spare leave. 4-7, that wood could be a little tricky, but if it flattens out, and it is flattening out, that should look pretty good. That's an 8 drop. It's away. Oh, and he connected with the right side of the wood, fired backwards. With that wood, I probably would have hit more to the center or the left of the cluster, just for some insurance on that. It'll end up being an 8-box for Bryan Hebert. That's 25 after 3. Bryan Hebert, like I said, he faced Chris Salmons in Hebert versus Salmons, episode 4, I believe, A New Hope. That was round 8. He took 4 points of the 437 series, 83, 86, 83, 89, and 96. No strikes, 3 spares, 9 tens. And actually, Bryan Hebert is going to be handing me an SD card with an audio file of that match, where at some point I will be attempting an overdub and a scoreboard overlay of that match. So be on the lookout for that. That obviously won't be a live streamed match. It'll be a VOD and after the fact. But I hope to try to at least add some commentary, and I'll get the digital scoreboard up there so you can enjoy another Hebert versus Salmons extravaganza. And if you haven't seen the previous Hebert versus Salmons episodes, they are on YouTube. Some on 3 Ball Spare, some on Candlepin Bowling Network. I believe this one that they just bowled will be their 4th meeting. That was a 7-box for Bryan Hebert for 32 after 4. Here's Bryan off to the right. He's going to mix down 8 eventually. 1 and 3. Not bad for a shot that missed the head pin. 32 after 4. Spare opportunity here. Just a little off to the right. 7, 10, 8, 7. With an 8, 9, or 10 here, it'll end up being an 8-box. Bryan Hebert will take a 40 half. 7, 8, 7, 10, 8, 7, 8 again for Bryan Hebert. 40 after 5. 90 in the first game, 130 so far in his total 1.5 games in, as Chase Abramczyk returns to the approaches, who bowled first with a 107 first game. On the road on the ACST here. Chase Abramczyk, the defending home bowler against Bryan Hebert. So far he has defended well. Here's Chase to the right. Similar shot to Bryan Hebert. He leaves the 1-3 now. And Chase will miss the object, but he'll get the wood to save it for him. That's a spare. That's 10 after 1 for Chase, plus a bonus as we watch Chase Abramczyk. That wood was really well lined up on the right side, and he went a little bit too much to the right. He was on the wood on the 3, but it spun and kicked to take the head pin. Here's Chase working on the spare, and it's going to be a very similar shot, but the 10 pin is there this time. It's the 1-3-10, and that's a 7 fill. Chase on it. Oh, this time on the pocket, but it didn't reward him. The 10 pin was defended by a spinning pin that didn't quite shoot backwards. So wouldn't you believe it, there's a 10 box. The shot that wasn't on the object went, and the shot on the object didn't go. That's 27 after 2 for Chase Abramczyk. Bryan Hebert is at 17 after 2 at the equivalent point. And we got another pin setter thingy going on here. I think it's, as we call another one of the Dellis brothers over to investigate whatever it is that's going on. Anyway, so we're at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire today. Opened originally on September 18th, 1976 at a different location from the current address, also known as Boutwell's Bowlamore. As you can see in the video, some of the artwork is still present in the bowling alley. It was originally 12 lanes, but it's expanded to 24 after it moved, currently at 152 North State Street in Concord, New Hampshire, with 24 lanes, 12 on each side. Boutwell's uses manual scoring and manual lane resetting, with CompuScore being the scoring software used, currently owned by the Dellis family, Andy, Alex, Dino, and Dimitri. Previously owned by Steve Birch, and of course was owned by former WNDS Candlepin Stars and Strikes co-host Dan Murphy. Some notable folks you might recognize who hang out at Boutwell's or work at Boutwell's. Some of the employees, John Cadero, Sean Shattuck, John Alosa, who also organizes some great tournaments. Great cast of characters. Also Jake Morrill, Steve Rogers, and Nick Brown. Just a great bunch. And you know it's also a great bunch? That great bunch of 10 by Chase Abramczyk. That was a strike if you weren't paying attention. Sometimes a break in the action is all you need. Let's have a look at that shot by Chase Abramczyk. 1-3 pocket, beautiful ball. 10 in the pit, 37 in a bonus after 3. Chase on lane 6. I guess we'll call it the Candlepins for Cancer lane. Lane 5 will be the Canada lane. And Chase will mix down 7. He'll mix down 8. So far in the strike fill. Next ball will complete the strike fill. He's on the 1 and the 7. Chase for 37 and a bonus after 3. Oh, just a little bit off the target to the left. Leaves the 1 and the 7. That will be an 8 fill on his strike now. And he'll pin it out for a 10. That will put Chase at 55 after 4. Just waiting on a respot, pin clear, you know, the usual stuff. You're watching the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. It's a season of Candlepin bowling among bowlers sorted into classes and divisions, calculated on total bowlers as well as averages of the bowlers. Started by Frank DeLuca and Mike Machichi and Rich Lamone in 2016-ish. Here comes Chase Abramczyk on the pocket, maybe another strike bid. And it was almost a good spare bid, but the 8 pin held on. He'll take 8 out. That's the 8 and the 10. Piece of wood is a little out front. I'm worried about that. You might have to kick it. You could play the extreme left or the extreme right. But the velocity is going to play a factor. It's going to be weird. Yeah, like that. He hit it red line on the center, so that meant it was going to shoot largely straight back, considering it was a lighter ball. Tough shot all around. Probably would have played an angle if it were me. And Chase will make it a 9 box. Hey, still not a bad half. Good half in the first half. Good half in the first game, that is, and a good half in the second game. That's 64 after 5 for Chase and 40 after 5 for Mr. Bryan Hebert. Currently Chase Abramczyk, who took 2 points in the first game. He's on track for 2 in the second, but there's still 5 more boxes to go. Let's see what Bryan Hebert does here. On the Canada lane next. He'll go off to the left corner and he'll take 6 down. 1, 2, 6, 10. 6 drop. Bryan for the spare bid. Oh, it was almost great looking. It did look great until it was maybe a plank off to the right and sailed into the hole. Outside of the head pin is where you should hit that. Bryan Hebert, that's the shot, but maybe a little light. Leaves 2 pins. He'll take an 8 box. That's 48 after 6. So yes, there's a maximum of 14 available points per ACST match. 2 points are awarded to the winner of each game. The bowler whose cumulative total is the highest results in an additional 4 points awarded. Oh, and there's a 3 drop down the center with a Talon spread eagle for Bryan Hebert, leaving the 8 pin as the Talon. Tie and a string will award each bowler 1 point. A tie and total pinfall results in 2 points per each bowler. Oh, and Bryan will make some pretty Candlepin artwork, dancing around and selectively knocking down pins. He leaves the 2, 3, 6, 10. And now it'll be a 6 box. That's 54 and 7 for Bryan. So for example, if you win the first game, win the second game, and the third game, and you lose the 4th and the 5th, but you win the total pinfall, you're going to get 10 points of 14, going 10 and 4. And Bryan will take a few out. 4 out to be exact. Bryan off to the right. Leaves the 1, 2, 4, 8. Looking for a 10 box. He'll nudge the 4, and I don't know if it's going to go. He's going to give up on it. That'll be a 6 box for Bryan Hebert for 60 through 8. Bryan to the right of the head pin, mixes down 6. It's the 4 horsemen run right side, 1, 3, 6, 10. 6 down so far. on the, well, full on the head pin. Probably had to go a little bit more to the left to run all 4 down. He takes 3 out, though. Not a bad out of 9, though. That's 69 through 9. In Candlepin lingo, we refer to frames as boxes. I'll use them interchangeably if you're not familiar with the term, just to get you onboarded. In contrast to 10-pin, fallen pins are not removed from play in Candlepin and are fair game, whether they offer positive or negative effects. There's a 2-drop for Bryan Hebert. And 2 more for Bryan Hebert. And he'll leave the 3-pin for a 9. Game 2 for Bryan Hebert is 78 for a 2-game total of 168. Bryan Hebert went 2 for 10 on the head pin with 1 split. Bit of a rough go, just kind of got a bunch of unlucky leaves overall. It's now Chase Abramczyk with a 64.5 for his final 5 boxes of the second game to close it out. Chase on lane 5. Mixes down 4. And Chase will take 3 of 4. He missed the object, and the object is the only one left. They'll make it a 10. 74 through 6. Something unique to Candlepin, knocking down all 10 pins on the 3rd ball results in a 10 box. If you didn't throw a strike or a spare. Think of it in 10 pin as like a spare with a 0 fill. 10 pin, they'll laugh at you for that, but in Candlepin we'll celebrate a 10 box. And that's a slow moving 8 drop and a slow moving mix for Chase Abramczyk. That's a 2 and the 5. The wood, well, there's one piece of wood that's going to be checked. I am unsure if it's in or out. Hard for me to tell in this house in particular. It appears to be out. All right. We can't see it, but there is a line down there that defines if a pin is in or out of bounds. Like I said about the deadwood earlier, the deadwood is not removed, but if it is past a certain point, we do remove it from play. You know, if it's too far down the lane. Doesn't usually do much of anyone any good. Oh, and Chase will play it right, and he'll take the 5 and leave the 2. That was a... I would have played it more to the left to be more surefire to plow through the 2 pins, but he took 1 of the 2 out. Chase 9 or 10, he'll make it a 9. That's an 83 in 7, and that will secure us to game 2 for Chase Abramczyk with 2 more points. So he's at 4 points, and Bryan Hebert currently is still in the hunt. That's 83 through 7 for Chase Abramczyk. Bryan Hebert in the second game was 78. Chase Abramczyk now padding out the grand total pinfall with 190 and counting. Looking to pull ahead, maybe for some insurance for the coming games if there's a slump. You always want to have some insurance on the grand total pinfall. And there's Chase Abramczyk, who will take 6 out. That's the 1-3-6-8. Chasing the 1-3-6-8, everything but the 1. And that was just a, you know, just a game of inches, a game of planks. And there's Chase with a 9 for 92 and through 8. And that's actually something we can kind of talk about, the whole concept of planks and arrows and guidelines, because at Boutwell's, there's actually no arrow. There's no guiding arrows on the lanes. There is just the foul line, and that's it. There are no guiding dots or arrows anywhere on the approaches or on the lanes compared to other houses. So you're going to have to know your planks and know your spots when you go to bowl at Boutwell's. It'll be a test of your ability to kind of know yourself, know your own approach, know your distances, velocities, angles. It could be a challenge. That's a 9 drop for Chase. For the spare, he's got it. Chase Abramczyk with a single pin spare. A great one on the 3-pin. And this is a birdie. Puts it right in. No problem. Didn't even need the wood. It would have hit it no matter what. Here's Chase Abramczyk working on a spare, and he'll go off to the right, and he's going to mix down 5, though. Not bad, considering. It's a spare 5 in the 9th for 107. One, 2, 4, 7, 5 for Chase. Just off to the right of the head pin. Kicks it forward from wood. Check mark left, 2, 4, 5, 7. Piece of wood in front of the object, too. He'll take all but the object pin. That'll be a 9. But 116 ain't bad for Chase Abramczyk for a 2-game total of 233. Compare that to Bryan Hebert's 168. That's really not a bad score for Chase Abramczyk, currently with 4 points. Bryan Hebert has a little bit of catching up to do at this point in the match. But we won't linger on that. We will move right along to Game 3 of the ACST at Concord, New Hampshire, at Boutwell's Bowling Center. Checking in with y'all again at home. I'm Steve Kelly. Great to have you along. Our in-person and remote viewers, I appreciate all of you watching wherever you are. So just checking in, and let's go back to Bryan Hebert. Hebert, well, bit of a heavy crossover on the 7-pin. And second ball, similar story, just a little bit more to the right. 2 down, 8 up. Ends up being a 2 for Bryan Hebert in the first. So talking more about planks, I can tell you about the planks at Lakeside. Actually, after the match, I might take a look just to confirm. But there are 39 planks on a lane. When there are arrows in a house, the arrow is every 5 planks. There's 4 planks in between each arrow. Plank 20 is the middle arrow. The 6-pin plank is the 10th plank from the right and the 30th plank from the left. So if you're a person who's a spot bowler, you might want to familiarize yourself with the planks, because every house should at least have planks if it doesn't have arrows. So if you can't, find yourself on the arrows. But first of all, there's a spare for Bryan Hebert, a nice single pin spare. Those are harder than they look. That's 12 and a bonus after 2 for Bryan Hebert on the 4. Watch this, right on it, buries it. Here's Bryan Hebert working on a spare. 1-3 pocket, nearly a strike. 9 drop, 8 pin is left. A big 19 in the second. Big recovery after that 2 box. 21 after 2 for Bryan Hebert. Another single opportunity in a similar place. Hebert, yeah, single pin spare. Check it off the list. 2 spares in a row for Bryan Hebert early. 31 and a bonus after 3. Watch this shot. Great control. Went from the 6-pin plank right into the 8-pin. He's on the head pin, chops 3. A nice ball, just a little full. Spread eagle with a talon. Hebert will go for the side with the 4 pins, leaving the 3, 6, 10, and 8. Just looking to clean this up and get out of this box. An 8, 9, or 10 will be a good target. He'll make it a 9. That's 43 and 4. So yeah, if we're talking about planks, every house, all the lanes are usually, almost guaranteed to be designed the same, and they'll have, if you're looking for a common denominator among houses where arrows might be different, guiding lines might be different, look for the planks and familiarize yourself with that kind of lingo, and that should help you out a lot. There's a 6-pin leave, a 6 drop for Bryan Hebert, a 4-pin leave, the 3 diamond. Oh my goodness. And Bryan Hebert, he'll spin some wood and take 1 of 4. It's a 259. 10 box will put him at 53 through 5. And he'll get close, 52 through 5 with that 9 box. 2 spares, 2 9s in that 2 box. That puts Bryan Hebert still at a good half of 52. His best one yet. 4 head pin shots for 5 with 1 split. currently at 220, halfway through this match, as Chase Abramczyk returns with a 223 after 2 games. Let's see where we go from here. Here is Chase Abramczyk, chopping out 2 with a half Worcester on the left side. On lane 6. Chase 1-3 pocket, but gets stuffed a little bit. It's the 7-4-5. Just looking to take pins, takes 2 of 3. That will put him at 9 after 1. Chase Abramczyk, longest streak of strings over 100 has been 2 in a row so far this season. 2 matches in a row where he's gone more than 7 points per match consecutively. Average points per away match, 6.0. Average points per home match, 5.0. And Chase will cross over and go to the left of the head pin, take 5 out. 4 on the right, 1 on the left. It's the 4 horsemen right side plus the 7. Chase on the outside. Well, not really the outside, but the inside. He'll spare it up. It looked like it was going to the outside. That's where it kind of threw me for a loop. But let's watch it again to be certain. See how this went. Kind of full, more kind of fullish on the head pin instead. But still, it was enough to do the job. Chase is working on the mark. He'll take 3 out. He'll take 4 out. That's a 6-pack left side. And Chase will take 3, drinking responsibly, taking half the cans. 1, 2, 5. 7, 8, 9, or 10 for Chase. He'll take the 5 and leave the 1 and the 2 for an 8-box for 31 after 3. And for the first time today, Chase is chasing Bryan Hebert by 3 pins in the 3rd box. Chase Abramczyk very good on the perfect box percentage today. 61% in this in-progress match. He'll take 4 out here on the first ball. Head pin percentage is a bit of a difference, though. He's at 29%, while Bryan Hebert's at 40%. But Chase is doing better on balls 2 and 3, based on that analysis. The 1, the 6, and the 10 are left here for Chase on the spare, missing the object. On the head pin, nice 10 box. Like I said, that perfect box percentage is Chase Abramczyk's specialty right now. He's at 41 after 4. Chase Abramczyk in his past 5 away matches, he's taken 34 points, averaging 6.8 points per match. And his past 5 home matches, and this is a home match for him today, he's taken 25 points, and he's averaged 5 points per match. Looks like we're going to have to pause once again for another pin setter extravaganza. And in the meantime, again, in case you don't know the ACST match format, here it is in text form. We are just about at the exact halfway point in this match after Chase Abramczyk's next box. And it's, again, 5 strings. We're just 2.5 games in. We're nearing the late stages of the regular season of the ACST. Following the regular 18-match season, bowlers who maintain a division leader status or are in the top 4 positions in the wild card for at least classes A through D. Class E is a little bit, just slightly tweaked numbers other than that. They'll be eligible for playoff contention. And it's just playoffs, playoffs, playoffs from there on out. So there'll be matches for those after the regular season concludes. I know last year at Boutwell's Bowling Center, we had quite a few winners here out of Boutwell's. We had Matt Powers and Dimitri Delis cleaning up the titles for classes, I think it was C and E, respectively, last year. I'm just going off of memory for that, but I want to say it was C and E. And there's Chase. He didn't hit the head pin, but he got it by proxy. That means he gets a split credit for that. That's a 7 drop. And he's got the 7, 8, 9. Chase will take the 8 and the 9 with the wood, and the 7 will not go. For the 10, he's got it. A 51.5 for Chase Abramczyk. It's a difference of 1. That was a good wall. That was a good defense by Chase Abramczyk. 51 after 5. Bryan Hebert 52 after 5. It's a difference of 1 in this string. The final 5 boxes will decide it for 2 points in the third. Here comes Bryan Hebert. Takes 3 off the back. Here comes Bryan Hebert for the next ball. Shaves off a few more, leaves the 1, 3, 6, and 9. Six pins down, and then it eventually becomes a 9 box for Bryan Hebert. His third 9 box in a row, 61 through 6. Thanks for tuning into the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. This is a great place to watch really exciting Candlepin matches all over the place. Streamed quite frequently, multiple times a week. And there's a 5 drop for Bryan Hebert. 1, 2, 4, 6, 10. Hebert on the outside full outside-ish. He leaves the 4, 6, and 10. It looks good for a split second until it connected. And he'll make it a 7. That's 68 through 7 for Bryan Hebert. Bryan Hebert Jr., son of Bryan Hebert Sr., obviously. I like to call him 311's Hebert. On October 27th, 2024, he bowled 3 spares in a row. Each of those spares had a 1 fill in a row at Lakeside Lanes. Won't ever forget that because that was just hilarious. He had a great spare ball. Just the first ball was just it was either like a quarter Worcester or a shot on the 4 and the 6. And the fact that he did it 3 times in a row and got a hat trick off it, that was something. 311s. Missed the spare there. He's going for the 10 box. He'll leave the head pin for yet another 9 box. That's 77 through 8 for Bryan Hebert. Bryan Hebert's all-time high single is 158. He bowled it at Putnam Street, King of the Hill. And oddly, I don't have a date for that. I think that was only just a couple of years ago, actually. Bryan Hebert will take down 5. He's got the 1, the 5, the 4, the 7, and the 8. It's a rough leave, but if you hit the head pin, you hope for the best. That's what Bryan Hebert is doing, and he'll spare that. Sometimes you hope for the best, sometimes you get the best. That's 87 through 9, plus a fill for Bryan Hebert as he shot on the 1, the 5, the 4, the 7, and the 8. Beauty, just plow through it, yeah. And just getting those sleepers in the back, but the ball went straight without getting really deflected. Hebert's going to shave off 3 for the fill. 13 in the 9th. Puts him at 90 through 9. Next ball. 1-2 pocket. Bit of a cushy shot. Leaves the 3, 5, 6. 6 has moved a little bit. 7, 8, 9, or 10 to close out this game. He'll be 7 for 97 for a 3-game total of 265 for Bryan Hebert. It'll be a bit of a chase for Bryan Hebert to chase, who's currently at 274, 5 boxes behind. Bryan Hebert 265 through 3, 90, a 78, and then he just threw a 97. 4 for 10 in the head pin with 1 split and 3 spares. The 2 box and the 2-3 fills were just kind of the bit of an issue there. Otherwise, it would have been over 100 game. Chase Abramczyk's at 51 through 5. Let's see where he goes from here. In Class E North. And Chase will mix down a few. 1, 5, 3, 6, 8, 9. That's a 4 drop. And Chase will take out 1 more. 5 down, 5 up. 1, 5, 3, 6, 9. Ends up being a 7-box for Chase. That's 58 through 6. Chase has two pinfall wins this season, 1 shutout victory where we went 14-0. Actually, that was against Krista Ruggiero. Chase Abramczyk also recently faced Mark Poirier. I covered that match last week. And do check that out. That match is available on 3-Ball Spare on YouTube. 1-3 for Chase after an 8 drop on in the first ball. Second ball a little off target, connects with a 3, and he leaves the head pin. It'll be a 9 for Chase. That's 67 through 7. Compare that to 68 through 7 for Bryan Hebert. We're at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire on 152 North State Street. Chase Abramczyk, lane 5. 1-3 pocket. Takes 5 down. Good ball, just mixed oddly. Where the right half of the deck was addressed, the left half to be knocked down. Chase misses the object. He connects with the 4, leaves the 2, the 5, the 7, and the 8. Looking just to get a good out of this, and he'll make it a nice 9-box. That's 76 through 8. Chase Abramczyk currently at 299. 2 boxes to go before he finishes the 3rd game. Going over 300 will put him at over 100 for an average. 29% in the head pin compared to Bryan Hebert's 33% as of right now. The split count is largely even. And there's 5 down for Chase Abramczyk. That's the 1, the 3, the 6, the 9, and the 10. And he'll go a little bit too much to the right and take the 6 out. And for the follow-up, he'll make it a 9. That's 85 through 9. He's got to catch up to Bryan Hebert's 97. He now needs a mark. A 10-box will not cut it. Chase's final first ball of the 3rd game results in a Caleri on the left side. It's another 5 drop, his 3rd 5 drop in a row. And he's had trouble plucking these off. He would take like the 4 pin out, take the 6 pin out on the second ball. Just having trouble finding that head pin, really. And it's named after Bob Caleri of Lexington, Massachusetts, a Candlepin Stars and Strikes contestant. Chase on the Caleri, he found the head pin there, but he only ran down the 4 horsemen, and he's left with the 9. So that will be game 3 in favor of Bryan Hebert with 2 points. Nine or 10, he'll make it a 9-box. That'll be a 94 in the game in the 3rd game for Chase Abramczyk. That's 317 after 3 games, averaging over 100. 107, 116, and 94 for Chase Abramczyk. But Bryan Hebert in the 3rd game with a 97 for 2 points, and he bowled a 90 and a 78 in the first 2 games. So Chase Abramczyk currently with 4 points, Bryan Hebert with 2 points, but Chase Abramczyk is ahead in the total. Let us move ahead to game 4 of 5 here on the ACST and figure out where the next 2 points get distributed here in Concord, New Hampshire at Boutwell's. In just a moment. How are you out there? Steve Kelly again. Great to see you. Great to have you along. Great to see you at home, and maybe see you in person if you ever come to visit Boutwell's Boutwell's in Concord, New Hampshire. Do check it out if you're in the area. Let's get back to Bryan Hebert. Ooh, that ball went way off target. Okay, that will be a gutter ball on the left for nothing on the first. Next ball, A little bit of a timid overcorrection off to the right. Takes 3 out. Next ball, it's going to shave a few more off. Hey, not a bad out, though, considering that's 7 after 1 for Bryan Hebert. Bryan 1-3 pocket. He found the head pin there. The 4 and the 7 are left for a spare leave with a piece of wood approaching it. 8 drop. Hebert for the spare. Oh, and goes out and takes a -1 on that shot as it went into the gutter and came out. That will be a foul. Just subtract for whatever this ends up being. It'll be an 8 box for Bryan Hebert with that in mind. That's 15 after 2. If you're interested in diving headfirst into leagues, summer leagues should be forming, or are forming, I know for a fact, at Boutwell's Bowling Center. A lot of league options for you to join. Any skill level, various formats of bowling. If you like 5 strings, I believe there's a speed league. Or if you like teams, you know, just this traditional 3-string format. Do check it out. Inquire at Boutwell's Bowling Center. They have a Facebook page with plenty of information there. I would probably recommend going there for some information. That's a 6 box for Bryan Hebert. 21 after 3. Here's Bryan mixing down a few off the right back corner, and the 5-pin takes a slide. That's 4 down. And to complete that thought, everything but the 7 goes down. He was on the object and on the pocket there, and we have a piece of wood that looks like it will likely be, well, I don't know. We'll see. It looks like it's going to settle, and I think it's out. We got Chase Abramczyk going down to investigate. Based on the previous one being removed, I am pretty certain it is not going to be in. And it is not. Confirmed. Thank you, Chase Abramczyk. Bryan Hebert, I watched him throw a 4-bagger once, but the catch, it didn't count because he threw it during warm-ups. But he did throw 4 consecutive strikes. And it was funny, we were just messing around. And it was in warm-ups for the Wednesday night mixed league at Leda Lanes back in the day. He was taunted to do it by one of our teammates, Dan Lang. He threw that 4-bagger. He amazed Dan Lang, but he realized it didn't count for anything as he contemplated life under the crushing laughs of his teammate. And he couldn't replicate it during the actual play. But he has thrown it, and I did watch it. So I can confirm Bryan Hebert has thrown a 4-bagger. You just have to joke around with him a little bit to get him to do it. After a 3 drop and then a miss on the second ball, he's going to get taken out of, not a bad out. That will be an out of 7 for Bryan Hebert. That'll be 38 after 5. He's just returning the pin down to the lane. Yes, 38 after 5 for Bryan Hebert. Bit of a rough half, but still 5 boxes to go. Chase Abramczyk comes back to us with 317 on the 3-game total. In a 94 third game, he ceded 2 points to Bryan Hebert in the 3rd game. Let's see what happens next. Chase Abramczyk will pound the pocket and leave the 4 and the 7. Piece of wood in a dubious spot. Could help, could not. And it helps there for Chase. A birdie of a spare, puts it in. 10 after 1 and a bonus. I want to see the way he hit this wood. Oh, like a red line almost. Yeah, to the left of the red line, ever so slightly. And he's on the pocket. 5-pin almost gets taken out by a flying 9-pin, but it's a good 9 fill on the spare fill. Nearly a strike. And he's set up for a spare. On the kingpin. On the wood. Wood doesn't help either. Kingpin stands tall. And that will be a 9 for Chase. That's 28 after 2. (28 after 2 for Chase, 15 after 2 for Bryan Hebert. Both bowlers are matched on head pins, 31% apiece. As Chase Abramczyk mixes down 6 on the head pin. Left side inverted check mark, the 2, 4, 5, 7. Wood behind the 2 and the 5. Oh, the 4 and the 5, excuse me. Chase will miss the object, and the wood will take all the pins out in proxy except for the object pin, the 2 pin. Nine or 10, nice pinning. 38 and 3 with that 10 box. Another pin setter. You know the drill. We've been through this several times. You know. Let's talk about stats again for Chase Abramczyk in case you missed it. Talking about Chase Abramczyk earlier. He's got a bit of a hill to climb in his season. He's at 67 and 101. He still has like 5 1/4 matches left to go, counting this one, in the 18-match regular season. He's had better luck. Well, it's hard to say. You know, away he's 42 and 56. Home he's 25 and 45. But he's just had a bit of a rough season this year. But he has thrown up a 130 for a high single so far, and he is second place in his division. So if he can maintain division leader status, however much of a distance there is between positions 1 and 2 in Class E North Division 2, Chase Abramczyk still will have a decent shot at the playoffs, but it's going to have to be pretty much lights out to maintain that as the number of matches remaining dwindle. So that's kind of the general idea. And then you'll see in the little red box, that's his current performance as of right now compared to the stats for the season. And it looks like we are back. Okay. Chase in the pocket. 5. Oh, yeah. You love to see that. The 5-pin slid and didn't go. Oh yeah, that's the Boutwell's action you love to see. We've seen that here. We've seen that happen here a bunch of times. I know Cora Crafts earlier in the season got massively ripped off in a similar fashion with that kind of a shot where everything, all 10 pins move, but one stays up. And it'll be Chase Abramczyk with a miss the second, get the third situation for 48 after 4 with that 10 box. 48 after 4 with that 10 box, yes. Almost perfect for the half, minus the 9 box in the second. But still, he's doing good on his first half, which implies that he's doing better on lane 6 than he is on lane 5. And actually, in another box, I'll give you a bit of a lane analysis. No, I'll give you the lane analysis at the end of this game, because that will make it fair to both lanes 5 and 6. As Chase will take 1 out. Maybe think about it a little bit too much. Crossover corner to corner on the 7 pin. For the follow-up, once again, not overcorrects, undercorrects. Hits the 4 pin, 2 down, 8 up. And he'll take 2 more out. He'll fight hard for a 4 box. Oh my goodness, but that's still a 52 half for Chase Abramczyk with that 4 box. Yes, 52 after 5, confirmed. Bryan Hebert coming back on with a 38 half, so it is still anyone's game here. Just get hot with some marks, and you will have points in this game. Bryan Hebert coming up next. Here's Bryan, and ooh, we'll get a nice backdoor mix. Pins are still, wow, a very, very tiny condensed triangle. That's a shot you don't see often. That's a 7 drop with a 1, 2, and 3 just pinched together. The conjoined triangles of success, if you ever watched Silicon Valley on HBO. Oh, and Bryan just misses off to the left. Just the 1 and the 3. And Bryan will make it an 8 box, 46 after 6. That was.
Last call on the 50-50 raffle right in the bar. Last call on the 50-50 raffle right in the bar.
And last call for 50-50 right in the bar. You got that? Bryan Hebert on lane 5. He'll take 3 out on the back left corner. Bryan Hebert overcorrects to the right this time. He leaves 4 on the deck. 1, 5, 2, 8, and 9. And he'll make it a 7 box for 53 through 7. Bryan Hebert, secondary manufacturing lead at Microspec Corporation, which produces medical tubing and focuses on extrusion technology. He's a manager there. And he'll take 5, leaving a center cluster of pins. 1, 5, 3, 8, 9. A little bit off to the left. Previously, Bryan worked at Supreme as a technical coordinator. And actually, Bryan Hebert is largely the reason I was able to actually get some audio equipment for the streams, or the current iteration of my audio equipment at least. Currently using a mixer he procured for me. Got me a nice discount on headsets, so actually I have a lot to thank for Bryan Hebert for actually making this stream sound great. Or as great as I can make it with my own, I'm not the greatest audio person, so. But anyways, that's a 7 drop for Bryan Hebert, 137. And Bryan will kick the wood forward and take the 7, and the 3 is not quite impressed by that display. And that piece of wood might require a check, I'm not sure. Looks like unsure. Looks like someone, yes, Chase will go down. Is it out? Is it in? It is out. Yeah, I have the hardest time telling in this building in particular if a pin is in or out. I was able to tell you at Lita, I could tell you at Lakeside, but at Boutwell's, it has to do with like the lighting and the masking units. It's just like so many optical illusions. Just can't quite tell at Boutwell's. And there's a 9 for Bryan Hebert. That's 67 through 9. With 1 to go. No marks this game for Bryan Hebert. 1 more opportunity for it. In the last game, he threw 3 marks. In game 2, he threw no marks. In game 1, he threw 1 mark. And he'll nudge down a few on the first ball. 1, 7, 10, 2, 6, 8, 9. It's a 3 drop. Wood is settled for the spare. Just a little to the left of the head pin. Leaves the 189. The isosceles triangle. For a 7, 8, 9, or 10 box, it ends up being on a shot on the head pin that dances around the 8 and the 9. That'll be an 8 for Bryan Hebert, and that will be a 75. Third game. All right, 75, game 3 for Bryan Hebert. 3-game total of 340. And it's now Chase Abramczyk's time. So Bryan Hebert, he threw a 160 on lane 5 and a 180 on lane 6. So yes, my theory is correct. He is doing better on lane 6 than he is lane 5. Chase Abramczyk, I think anecdotally is as well, but we'll check in on that at the end of this game when the numbers are more even, with an even number of boxes thrown on both lanes. Here comes Chase, off to the right. Mashes down 8. It's the 1 and the 7 he's shooting at for a spare. Chase, that ball spun left and it tailed left very quickly. Hits wood, takes the 7, leaves the 1. On that head pin, he's a little off to the left, and the ball is not going to play ball. That's a 9 box for Chase Abramczyk for 61 through 6. Chase Abramczyk went 4 head pin shots in a row at the start of this game. Nearly a perfect half, but that 4 box he went to war for in the 5th. And the 9 box in the 2nd was what prevented it. Chase off the right. He's going to mix. He's going to still mix. He mixes 5 down. Isosceles triangle in the center, and then the 6 and the 10. Chase will kick the head pin, and he'll wrap around, and he'll take a nice, pretty spare. That was interesting to watch. So interesting to watch. I want to watch it again. Look at this. You kick, you spin, you take a ride, and you get a spare.
Your raffle tickets, the winning number, the last 4 digits, 5881. 5881.
Here's Chase on a spare fill, and he almost had a very similar kind of action. But he'll take 9 on that spare, and that'll be big. 80 through 7. For the double spare, yep, he sure has it. Yes, sir, it's gone. See ya, 90 through 8, and a bonus. Let's take a look at this once again. Just dink the wood into it. And he's on the pocket now, and he has a worse leave than last time where he had a arguably worse first ball. But that wood is still plausible. It's a 7-8-9 for a 7 fill and a split. That puts him at 97 through 8, over 100 at least. He's at 104 at least right now. And he'll connect with the 8. Wanted to go a little bit more left to get some action off that diagonal wood. Heck, even capping it might have been enough, but oh well. And he'll connect with a diagonal wood, and he'll leave the 9 for a 9 for 106 through 9. He's going to take game 4, obviously. 423 so far for Chase, and 340 for Bryan Hebert through 4. 4 games, that is. Here's Abramczyk 106 through 9, and he has 1 more ball to keep padding out that total as we go into the 5th and final game. And Chase will take 2 on the 6 and the 10. Next ball on the right edge. Leaves the 1-2-5-8-9. Ends up being a 6 box for Chase. Chase Abramczyk will clock into the 4th game with a 112. 429 after 4 games for Chase Abramczyk. Bryan Hebert is at 340. So Chase Abramczyk has racked up 6 guaranteed points. There's still 4 points for the total up in the air, and still 2 points for game 5 up in the air as we move on to game 5 here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. We're going to be setting up for in just a moment or two here. In Concord, New Hampshire, at Boutwell's Bowling Center, Bryan Hebert is up next. And he's ready to fire. Here comes Bryan Hebert. Off to the right, takes the 6 and the 10 out. Hebert on the 1-2 pocket, leaves the 3, the 5, and the 7. Oh, a nice 10, though, for Bryan Hebert. Actually, that was really nice, and I'm going to grab a replay of that because that was pretty to watch. Look at this. He kicked the wood and kicked it forward. You don't see a lot of forward kicking action. That has to do with the plates. But look at that. Wow, that was nice. I like that shot. Even though it was just a 10 box, that was still pretty to see. Bryan Hebert 10 after 1. And Bryan will miss the head pin narrowly to the left. He'll take 6 out as the 1-3-6-10. The 4 horseman right side, also known as. And he'll run down those 4 horsemen for a spare. That's 20 and a bonus after 2 for Bryan Hebert. Let's watch that shot again, shall we? Look at this. Very well done. Hebert working on a spare, and it's looking, oh, it almost looked like it had been shot. It just drifted towards the latter half of the lane. He'll take 6 out on the fill, though. Still not bad. head pin, and wow, yeah, that's my reaction too. It just jumped over everything else. He's got the 3-8-10 to contend with. It's the mini high-low jack, as Doug Brown and Dan Murphy once coined it as on the old Candlepin Skins show. He'll leave an 8-box, or take an 8-box, leaving the 3 and the 10. That's a 34 after 3 status for Bryan Hebert, 374 in the total. Bryan Hebert threw a 90, then a 78, then a 97, then a 75, and is currently at an in-progress 34 after 3 boxes here in the 5th. And on the head pin, and there's a strike for Bryan Hebert. That's a hammer. That's a definitive one right there. All over it, 44 in a bonus through 4. Let's watch that again. It was a fast one. Blink and you'll miss it. No discussion about that on the 1-2 pocket. Full on it, and it was gone. So Bryan Hebert currently with 2 marks in a 10 box, 44 in a bonus after 4. He's working on a strike. It's away. To the left of the head, still a 6 fill so far, 1-8-6-10. That's a high fill to start out with. Another ball completes the fill. 44 in a bonus through 4 plus 6. That's 50 through 4 at least. Plus this ball. He'll take 2 more out. He'll take 3 more out. That's a 9 fill. That's a big fill on the strike. That's a big 19 in the 4th for 53 through 4. On the head pin for a 10 box. Just missing it off to the left. He'll take a 9 box. High-powered half for Bryan Hebert. That's a 62 half for Mr. Hebert with a strike, a spare, and a 10, a 9, and an 8. With a 9 fill and a 6 fill on the marks. That's how you do it. It's high fills that get you to those high halves. 62 after 5, 1 for 4 on the head pin. No splits for Bryan Hebert. It's now Chase Abramczyk's turn to respond. Here's Chase. 1-3 pocket. 7 go down. 2-4-5. Two, 4, 5 triangle. And he's just a little off the object. He takes the 5, kicks over to the 4 through the wood behind it, leaves the 2. Ends up being a 10. That's 10 after 1 for Chase Abramczyk. Chase Abramczyk with a 107, 116, 94, and 112 in the first 4 games. He only lost the 3rd game so far. He has 6 points. On the pocket, he drops 8, and it's a good setup for a spare leave. He's got the 6 and 10, and that should go no problem. Just aim it well, and you will be in business. Yes, sir, it's gone. That's a spare for Chase Abramczyk. A spare in the 2nd for both of our bowlers. Let's have a look at that again on the 6-10. Fired on it. No worries there. Chase is working on a mark. 1-3 pocket, and it's gone. He throws a hammer, a strike on spare. $40 and a bonus through 3. We're going to have to give the pin setter some time to react to that. Watch this. A beautiful ball by Chase Abramczyk on the 1-3 pocket. Well timed, well executed, well done. 40 through 3 in a bonus for Chase. Bryan Hebert hot. Chase Abramczyk also gets hot. Chase working on a strike. Off to the left. 4 down so far, 6-pack right side. Next ball completes the strike fill. And that will be a couple out, but still a solid 8 fill on the strike for Chase. Leaves the 1 and the 10. That'll be 48 through 3. The 10 box. It's going to be 8. 56 through 4. Bryan Hebert's at 53 through 4. 2 powerful halves by both bowlers. Both bowlers are going to be in the 60s through 5. Stay tuned after the match is concluded. I'll have a highlight reel for you queued up so you can watch all the great marks thrown this match. And there is a delayed 9 drop for Chase Abramczyk, leaving the 7 pin. Yeah, stay tuned after the match for the Boutwell's Bar and Sapron Pizza highlight reel. And Chase just a little bit off for the spare shot on the 7-pin. Kind of thread the needle in between the channel and the 7-pin. Gotta love that gap that loves to make itself available. There's a 10 box for Chase Abramczyk though, 66 through 5. So wow, 66 through 5 for Chase Abramczyk and 62 through 5 for Bryan Hebert. This is a game. It's close. It's a +4 for Chase Abramczyk in the game. Bryan Hebert at 402. Chase Abramczyk leading though in the total 495 by quite a bit. So Bryan Hebert ground to make up. As Bryan will go ever so slightly to the left of the head pin, he'll take 6 out. 1, 3, 7, 8. And he's on the outside of the head pin and gets a little stuffed by the wood, but he's going to get pins in the back. He leaves the 3-pin. It was a nice try. I mean, I would have shot it the same way. He'll take a 9 in the 6th for 71. 411 and counting for Bryan Hebert. Abramczyk currently leading by 84, box behind. Hebert will take 2 out, the 4 and the 7 taken out. Yeah, I do have a running theory, really, that both bowlers are doing way better on lane 6 than lane 5, and they both finish on lane 5. And Hebert will pop everything but the 6-pin. It was a great-looking ball and a spare-worthy shot. Oh, and Hebert gets deflected off the wood. And that means it's going to be a 9 box for 80 through 7 for Bryan Hebert. Hebert will chop 2, and that's a right side half Worcester. Oh, and he wanted to go for the outside hit on the head pin, but again, like our lecture earlier, that's a high risk, high reward. Was the risk part of the risk half of that shot. Hebert will split the difference and make it a 5 box. Better than a 2 box. I know the 3rd ball, if you get spooked by that, you just want to just aim for anything that isn't that gap. And that will make it a 5 box for 85 through 8 for Bryan Hebert. Bryan to the left of the head pin. Isosceles triangle center, 189. Off to the left. And then to finish it off, he'll get stuffed by the wood and take the 9 as a consolation prize for an 8 box for 93 through 9. And he's on the 6-pin and takes a few more as bonus. 4 down. Then the 3-pin goes on the 2nd ball. 5 up, 5 down. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10. Final ball of the match will result in a 7. He'll get an even 100 in the 5th. That will be a 5-game series of 440 for Bryan Hebert, and that will be 4 points for Chase Abramczyk, though, with 495 to Bryan Hebert's 440. Chase Abramczyk will be closing out in the 5 final boxes of this match with a 66.5. At least 10 points, possibly 12 points. We'll find out at the end of the match. Here comes Chase Abramczyk on the Canada lane to finish off this match today. And Chase on the pocket. Nearly strike moves the 7, touches 10, but it's a 9 drop. How's that for math? There's 2 planks of wood in front of the 7. Caps are facing us. Don't know if it's going to help. Oh, but how about that? There we go. Get some rolling action. So directly it didn't help, but the sidewalls and the slide, everything about that made it work. Just like this. See, he hit it on the red line, but he used the right side sidewall to bounce right and come back left. That's the kind of shot that wouldn't work in every house, but it works here at Boutwell's. And there's an 7 drop for Jace Abramczyk. Spare 7, 83 through 6. And looking to spare it up, he'll take the 1 and the 3 and leave the 6. Chase looking to clean this up. It's going to be a 9, leaving the 6 pin for 92 through 7 for Chase Abramczyk. 8 pins to go to tie with, and anything higher than that, they're taking an additional 2. Bryan Hebert with at least 2 points so far, but Chase Abramczyk could take 12 here in these last 3 boxes. Chase on the 1-3 pocket, everything but the 9 goes down. On the single, Chase has got it for a spare on the 9 pin. It's really been Chase's day for these marks. He's been just dialed in on that. He's at 102 in a bonus. Watch that on the 9 pin. How did that go? Did he go right at it? Yes, it was a straight ball, straight down, plank to plank, all over the 9. And Chase to the right of the head pin. He'll mix down a few. 3 to be exact. It's still a 3 on a spare, so not bad. Could have been better, but hey, given where the ball landed, it could have been a 2 fill with a half Worcester, but the 5 pin fell afterwards. And Chase to the left, and hey, he'll make it symmetrical. I do like symmetry. 1, 4, 6, 7, 10 leave for Chase. 5 up, 5 down. 105 through 8. I'll make it pretty. Yes, he will for the 10 box. I'll actually grab a replay of that because I always like to see that shot go. 10 box for Chase for 115 through 9. Take a look at this. 1, 4, 6, 7, 10. Final box. Hope you enjoyed this match today. I'd like to thank our ACST committee members, including our league commissioner, Danny Finn, our Class E treasurer, Maurice Perry, statistician, Micah Imperato, the staff at Boutwell's Bowling Center. Here's Chase Abramczyk with a 3 fill. No, sorry, not a fill. I was thinking of a couple boxes ago. 3 down so far. On the head pin, a little too full. He takes 2 more out. That's 5 up, 5 down. Chase Abramczyk with at least a 120. It's at 544 and counting. 549 and counting, technically. And he'll take a 6 box. How about a 550 for Chase Abramczyk today? Not bad. 50 pins off of 600. That's pretty good for Class E. It's pretty impressive. So Chase Abramczyk will finish with a 121 that is confirmed. Bryan Hebert with a 100. Today's totals will be Bryan Hebert 440, Chase Abramczyk 550. Chase Abramczyk taking it by 100 in the total. And he took the 5th game by 21. So that will conclude our match today. That is ball game. Here's your final stats. It will be 12 points for Chase Abramczyk, who will go 12 and 2. Bryan Hebert will go 2 and 12. That puts Chase Abramczyk at 79 and 103. Bryan Hebert is at 44 and 110 now, with the results of today's match factored in. So Bryan Hebert threw a 90, a 78, a 97, a 75, and a 100. Chase Abramczyk almost all 100 except for the 3rd game. 107, 116, 94, 112, and 121. Chase Abramczyk, his perfect box percentage was really the star of the show today. 56 with 15 tens, 11 spares, 2 strikes. It was a pretty good day for Chase, I got to tell you. But for both bowlers, lane 6 was the one to bowl on. You look at the difference between these two on the left and the right lanes. Bryan Hebert threw a 198 on lane 5. He threw a 242 on lane 6. Chase Abramczyk threw a 251 on lane 5 and 299 on lane 6. So yeah, lane 6 was really the lane to bowl on for just extracting pins. If they were bowling head-to-head, Chase Abramczyk would have gotten 30 boxes won, and Bryan Hebert would have won 11. It's a 38% pin percentage quarterback rating for Chase today, 24 for Bryan Hebert. 4 splits apiece, so the splits were basically evenly distributed. The first ball average Award goes to Chase Abramczyk today at 6.32. Bryan Hebert threw a 4.9 for the first ball on average. For the fills, Chase Abramczyk, if you throw more marks, you'll get more fills. So Chase Abramczyk totaled 93, averaging 7.15 per mark fill. Bryan Hebert averaging 5.83 per mark fill, totaling 35. And here's some more data and graphs. If you want to take a look at this, feel free to pause the video and make it full screen if you want to dive into this any further. I know it's a lot, but it's kind of cool to look at and just kind of speculate, think about, look if you're into the data, into the money ball kind of aspects of bowling and all that. Have at it and take a look. So anyways, folks, that should just about do it for us here at Boutwell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Stay tuned for the highlight reel. Anyways, I've been Steve Kelly for Bryan Hebert and Chase Abramczyk. Hope you enjoyed this match and hope to see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Have a great one, everyone. Stay tuned for the highlights in just a few seconds here. .89, away average of 88.7 to be specific. His high single 108, high series 474, and there's a spare for Bryan Hebert. And Chase with a spare. Abramczyk, he kicks the 5 with the wood for a spare. And Chase will miss the object, but he'll get the wood to save it for him. Rogers and Nick Brown. Just a great bunch. And you know it's also a great bunch, that great bunch of 10 by Chase Abramczyk. Velocities, angles, it could be a challenge. That's a 9 drop for Chase. For the spare, he's got it. Chase Abramczyk with a single pin spare. Planks, if it doesn't have arrows. So if you can't, find yourself on the arrow, another single opportunity in a similar place. Hebert, yeah, single pin spare. Check it off the list. Chase on the outside. Well, not really the outside, but the inside. He'll spare it up. It's a rough leave, but if you hit the head pin, you hope for the best. That's what Bryan Hebert is doing, and he'll spare that. Could not. And it helps there for Chase. Chase will kick the head pin, and he'll wrap around, and he'll take a nice, pretty spare. For the double spare, yep, he sure has it. Oh, a nice 10, though, for Bryan Hebert. Actually, that was... And he'll run down those 4 horsemen for a spare. Currently at an in-progress 34 after 3 boxes here in the 5th. And on the head pin, and there's a strike for Bryan Hebert. It well, and you will be in business. Yes, sir. It's gone. That's there. Chase is working on a mark. 1-3 pocket, and it's gone. He throws a hammer, a strike on spare. Caps are facing us. Don't know if it's going to help. Oh, but how about that? On the single. Chase has got it for a spare. 105 through 8. I'll make it pretty. Yes, he will for the 10 box. I'll actually grab it.